Greetings, masters of the game. Well, that is if you don't mind me greeting you. You see, if you did mind, then I take it all back, and I'll just go and sit over there in the corner. I don't want to upset anybody. No, seriously. I mean, I take it back already. Actually, you know what? I just take it back. I didn't mean it. I'm sure you're all brilliant. You're all masters. You're all. You know what? Here, have some money. Just take some money. Everyone, just take money. Because just no violence, all right? No conflict, please. I'm begging you. Hello and welcome to today's episode on how to be a great player. My name is Guy, and well, rightly so, you are master players, but we're looking at how to play a coward or a pacifist or the ultimate PC. How do you do it without making the rest of your table want to throttle you, kill you, maim you, destroy you, or otherwise commit untold violence to your pacifist? How do you do it? This was a question that was posed to me on Twitter, I believe, and, well, here's my response to it. Having played a coward and a pacifist who got a player to leave his table to actually stop gaming altogether with the group that I was in because they thought that I, in real life, was a pacifist, I can honestly tell you it is a very difficult thing to pull off, and you have to think very carefully as to how and why you are playing a coward in the first place. So that's what we're going to look at. We're going to look at the reasons why you would want to play a coward or a pacifist or a PC. We're going to work out how to do that, and then we're going to resolve it moving forward so that the character doesn't become an anchor to the party and ultimately cause the party to stop moving forward. We've got to watch out for all of those things because that's what can happen. We need to understand these things in order to be able to do it. Right, so reasons why you might play a pacifist or someone who is, say, a coward or is non-confrontational. In my opinion, the three come together not because they are similar. A pacifist is not necessarily a coward is not necessarily a pacifist. However, they are all individuals who try to diffuse potentially violent situations. And in a game, we have to admit, in a game where violence is an appropriate outcome for an encounter between two individuals who have a disagreement, having a pacifist in the party can cause the party major issues. So why would you want a pacifist when you have all these murder hobos running around next to you? How do you resolve that? I'm not saying every party is a bunch of murder hobos, but I am saying that when you stop negotiating with orcs, generally speaking, battle is going to ensue. The pacifist is doing everything in their power to prevent that from happening. So, a thinking, calculating detective, for example, an ambassador, a nice person, those are the kinds of people that you would be playing if you're playing a pacifist. Now, if you think about a lot of movies where the protagonist, the hero, is non-confrontational, they try and avoid combat. That's the general idea of what a good human being is. You talk about it, you negotiate a solution, you don't go to battle, you don't rise to temptation, you cleverly, you smartly work out ways and solutions to overcome your opponent and to win them to your side. That's modern day thinking. So that's the kind of character that we should all really be playing in role-playing games, except that we don't. We play the paladin who's strong-handed, we play the wizard who's fireball ready, we play the cleric who's ready to bring down brimstone and fire. So, you want to play someone who is different. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. A pacifist in a violent world, what a wonderful interaction that character is going to have with NPCs and with the party themselves. The party calls for blood, the pacifist is calling for solutions. The pacifist is the ambassador who negotiates with the orcs, who negotiates with the goblins, and has consequences thereof. Like I said, though, the risk you run is disempowering all of your combat-focused characters, and that's something that's very dangerous, something that you don't want to do. So how do we work around that? Well, you've got to work out your role within the party, and you need to expect your role to be respected, and conversely, you need to respect the role of the other party members. Frequently we get this when we're talking about paladins who are supposed to be lawful good. How do they handle a rogue who's a murderous thief? Do they associate with them or don't they? Well, they shouldn't associate with them on a lot of levels. On the other side of things, if the rogue is sneaky about it and doesn't reveal their intentions, then as a player, your character shouldn't respond to that rogue's actions. With a coward, if your character is a coward and doesn't like to fight, then figure out non-combat solutions that will help in combat. Don't try and stop the combat from happening. Let it happen. Yes, of course, you can say, oh, we shouldn't fight. Oh, we're fighting. All right. Don't disengage. Don't turn around and run away and hide behind the barn door. That is exactly what a coward would do. However, as a player, your role within that party is to support the party. You're not supporting the party if you are hiding or running away from where the party happens to be. So a coward, a true coward, might start to run, but you as the player decide that the character trips or drops their bag because they're panicking so much, gets to the barn door, turns around, realizes they've dropped their bag, comes running back, sees a party member's wounded, decides they're going to heal the party member. So, in other words, you don't kill the party. You don't stop the party from happening. You don't deflate the fighter's situation so he cannot fight. You let it happen, and you support it to your maximum. If you want the other players to support your coward, to support your pacifist has to support violence. I know it's contradictory. What it means is, as a player, you need to figure out clever, inventive, and different ways of resolving combat situations where your character is involved in combat, but in such a way that they internally believe that they won't. So a pacifist who is, say, using chains to chain up the ogres, and the chains wrap around the ogres and knock the ogres down. That is a pacifist job well done. The fighter can then cut off the heads of the ogres. The pacifist can admonish the fighter, but move on, not leave the party. So you've got to make it fun. You've got to make it so that the party is able to do what they want to do. The party is able to carry on moving forward, having fun, without you stopping them. And that's the real challenge of playing a pacifist or a coward or a PC. You've really got to make sure that you are looking for what causes fun to happen as a result of this character not wanting to engage, but ultimately engaging anyway. That's also what causes you to challenge yourself. How do you present a coward in such a way that they are running away from battle, causing battle to conclude? When you look at comedy films or comedy books, the coward who's the one who's running away, the one who's trying to prevent combat from happening, always ultimately ends up right in the thick of it. They don't end up hiding in a cardboard box on the other side of the room, letting everyone else go through the combat. That's really not what happens. Or if they get into that cardboard box, they find the map which leads to more combat, or to the death of somebody, or whatever the case might be. You have to focus on how do you make sure that your coward or your pacifist fits within the party and keeps the party moving forward. You don't want to be an anchor. You don't want to stop that party from moving forward. So now, how do you resolve it? How do you figure out whether your coward or pacifist is working within the group? Watch the other players. When you make a decision, when your pacifist throws up his hands shouting, "No, no, we cannot fight in the name of the gods. We must talk and resolve." If the fighter player, if the ranger player are constantly lowering their heads or face palming, and there isn't a smile following up after that, you are in trouble. The players are getting irritated with you as a player because your character has been built to just be irritating. So instead of saying, "No, we cannot fight," rather say, "Well, fighting is really, really not the right choice, but if you are going to fight, why not make it an even fight? I propose that 2 fighters are selected from either side, blindfolded, have their arms tied behind one another, and placed on rolling logs. The first one to fall over is the loser, and must submit to the rest as if the battle had occurred, and that way no one has died. I, of course, cannot be on the logs. I have a fear of logs, so that means that the fighter is involved, or the wizard's involved." So you've figured out a way to keep the party involved, keep the players involved, keep their characters involved, whilst at the same time being pacifistic. You can't do that for every, you absolutely cannot do that for every situation. So that's why when it says grow and adapt, you grow as a player, you figure out these ways, but you adapt as well. And you understand that the pacifist is going to have to see things that they don't want to see. The coward is going to have to stand their ground once or twice. And it's those moments that will actually make them more of a coward, is when they choose to stand and they go, "Ha, you see, I didn't run away." Well, I couldn't, actually. I think I've twisted my ankle. It gives you a wonderful comedic moment. It allows your character to remain in combat. It allows combat to happen. No one gets stopped. No one gets snubbed. No one gets stumped. And you get to have a great moment. So you can be very active as a passive pacifist or as a non-engaging coward. You really can be. And you almost have to be more so in order to make that character work. So I played a cleric once who was a complete pacifist, and he had lots of money, and every time they came across an encounter, he'd take a fistful of coins and throw it in the opposite direction. The orcs would run off after the coins, or he'd just give coins to guards and bribe them away. The characters had a lot of fun, but the players were very frustrated. And like I said, the one player actually left going, "Well, he's a coward and I don't want to play with him anymore." The GM explained that it was my character, but the damage had been done already. I had been too overt in preventing all the combats from happening, from just talking my way through it, and that became very humdrum for that player. Don't be that player who forces someone else to leave because you want to play a different character. Play a different character, but figure out how to keep them engaged and keep the group engaged in what the group wants to do, while still expressing your own character's individuality. So there's a slide from another episode, which we won't be looking at. I don't know how that one snuck in there. I thought I'd checked it all. Anyway, coward, pacifist, PC. That is something for you to decide upon if you want to play that type of character. It can be very demanding. Don't forget, the character also can change over time. So they start off as a coward, but then they have one combat where they succeed because of a comical interaction with a branch, a ladder, and a bucket of paint. Then the next combat they fail, so they go back into their shell. The third combat they succeed again, and now they start to grow and maybe get a little bit more brave. They ask the fighter player character to teach them how to fight. They go through that process, that growth process, and you'd be amazed at how people respond to a character who grows like that, who changes like that. It's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, until next time, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos where we deal with specific psychoses or types of character foible that you can add to your character to make them just that much more unique. And until next time, I wish you and yours the very happiest of playing.